Good. The rising spear transitioning to... This is the low... Okay, now we're going to transition and show you some of the application for the techniques that we just practiced in Kata. Now, Kata introduces a framework or a template for you to follow. We're going to also follow that here in our application, but it's important to recognize that just because a kata doesn't include a particular technique after as a counter, for example, that you couldn't choose to employ that. So after I disarm and do a single attack, you might see me do an additional attack simply because it might be warranted given the size and strength of my opponent, or maybe I just want to have more fun. So let's take a look at some of the concepts, and we'll start with the downward wrist strike and ridge hand. I'm gonna do this first technique with my hands up as though I was trying to verbally de-escalate the situation, which would always be my primary focus. But at some point, I might decide that this is not going to work and attacking or defending myself is imminent. And that's where we'll pick it up from. So the first attack is going to be a step in and grab, or a push, or some sort of arm gesture. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it comes through an imaginary cylinder towards my face or head, it will work. I'll be deflecting with my hands in a lowering action and then following up with the ridge hand. And remember, the strike to the head could be anything that you'd like it to be. It could be an open hand, it could be a cup, it could be a hammer strike, it could be whatever's most appropriate for you, your preferences, and your skill. So we're at relatively close range. There was a conversation taking place. I was trying to de-escalate, and then it didn't work. A little slower. The arms come in, I drop. Once I reach the level of my solar plexus, there's no need to push down anymore. Here, I chose to leave the area, so I won't reach him unless I come in and strike. After that, I did an elbow strike because I had committed to enter. Once again. I become very vocal in attacking simply because it's another way for me to commit energy. And I figure when I vocally express myself, I'm just operating at the highest level of commitment. As far as I'm concerned, this person is really trying to injure me, and so I'm defending myself with the highest level of commitment. One last time. This is the downward wrist strike followed by the rising ridge hand. Next, we'll look at the rising alternating palm strikes, or bushiken. The principle here is rapid succession of attack. So after I diffuse the first attack, ba, 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 I'm going to continue to attack as I press forward. Remember, this could be an action that serves as both a defense and an attack simultaneously. I'm gonna try to do that, but every defense has a contingency plan built into it. And I just assume that I'm going to need to employ that contingency no matter what happens. I can always choose to stop and no longer attack if I see that it's not necessary, but better to overcompensate and try to overwhelm your opponent than under-deliver. So my partner is gonna step in and grab me. This could be a punch to the face, it could be a grab. Again, it will manifest in some form like this. What it won't be is my partner stepping in and doing oizuke. So I'm not gonna practice like that because it's just not as realistic. My partner, being like most people, are right-hand dominant, so I can expect an attack to come from this right upper quadrant. So as it comes up, I guide and strike under and then immediately keep circling and pressing forward. As I come forward, you'll see that the beginning of the next attack is also right there. So you might see people striking and then continuing to attack. So even though I'm not demonstrating seizing and knee striking, it's virtually happening here. Once again, a little slower. What's important here is that I deflect and leave the space. If I strike and stay there, I now have to pull out to strike, and I might also impede my first strike. So what I'm looking to do is enter and leave. Enter and leave. So if my partner's arm was up, enter and leave. If not, I have this. So. Next, we're going to take a closer look at the rising double-handed spear to the seize and the knee lift. So most people refer to this as the crane defense and attack. So here, I don't want to wait for him to arrive. I want to step in and attack, okay? And I'm doing this towards either his eyes or his throat because I want to cause some sort of reaction. Once I invoke that reaction, I then want to seize and as quickly as possible counter. Sometimes it might be messy. You don't know how your partner is going to attack. Just stay true to the principle. Rise up and attack, seize and pull. You get what you get. Sometimes you might get a lovely plush gi. Sometimes you'll slip. Sometimes a person won't have a gi and their body will be slippery, perhaps from perspiration. So maybe you go for hair. This is the rising spear, transitioning to the seize and knee lift. Next, we're going to look at the two-arm swing using a koken as an attacking tool. What's key here when being grabbed is not to be lifted off the ground. An opponent would grab me for one of two reasons, either to lift me up and slam me down, from which I won't get up quickly, or to lift me up and take me somewhere. So what's paramount is that he not succeed in lifting me up. So nothing will trump that focus of mine. So once I'm grabbed with a bear hug, you'll see that I base and get heavy. I then will churn and do the attack to create an opening, and then I'll continue to counter until I'm free. Still gorgeous. Lucky. This is the low swinging koken. Next, we're going to demonstrate the shielding principle. Here, my opponent is going to approach me as if posturing like an animal might before they actually engage. And I'm going to close the distance, strike, take control, and maneuver myself around him before I redirect him in the opposite direction. So envision another opponent here where I need to get him to. So I want to turn him so that his back will be facing his buddy who's also trying to hurt me at the same time. So it's like a 2-on-1. So I'll ask my opponent to come at me from the side. So a little more slowly, he postures in, I grab, move around, and throw. Now, a number of variables are at play here. If he's a lot heavier than me, then I'm probably gonna move around him. Okay, if he's lighter than me, I might just swing him using hip torque. Okay, so there's lots of ways to do this, but the basic idea is to use your opponent as a shield and turn multiple opponents into one opponent. One more time. That time my hand slipped off his uwagi and I still went with it. That's life, you gotta roll with it. So I'm glad it's happening here and not in the real world. We'll now demonstrate the rising elbow that's powered by the forward lunge. Here, I could be dealing with any number of different attacks. It could be someone posturing and entering with a linear attack. It could be someone coming over the top. They could even have an object like a stick in their hand where they were swinging it at me. We'll demonstrate this a few different times. The first will be against something coming down on me, almost like they were throwing a haymaker. Again, I'm starting from a diffused position because if my arms were down, I might be using this offensively, using sen no sen timing, which is attacking his buildup of energy. In this case, he'll attack and then I'll begin to defend. So there's a large arc there, and when I go in, granted I know that the attack is coming, I requested it, it's in my dojo, I have a good friend attacking me, so I feel completely comfortable. That being said, there's still an ample amount of time before that attack reaches me and I'm striking. I almost feel my body saying, attack, attack, don't block and then attack. Now I'm gonna try to cover more distance as my partner takes advantage of a tool that provides him a little bit of reach. So he's now got a short stick about 25 inches long, and I'm gonna try to cover this distance and use the lunging elbow to do it. So he's gonna start with it on the ground, okay? As if he just saw it, picked it up, and then goes to attack me immediately. The kata says, start with your right foot in front, so I'll do the same, although all of these things are flexible. None of these variables break the principle. One more time. Against a punch. When a punch is in between myself and the opponent, before I can use a close range weapon, I have to move this out of the way so that I can occupy this space. So this will be go-no-sen timing. Receive, deflect, counter. And for this, I'll do this with my hands down as if my partner was just going to push or punch me. Ice! Ice! One more time. Good. See this? I want to make sure my partner's always giving me a legitimate attack. And that was right on the side of my throat. I'm still alive. He's got good control. But it's important that I'm being given the benefit of legitimate attacks. So I have a great partner here, but you should do the same thing once in a while. Perhaps not when they're punching you, though, in the throat. Ice! 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 This is the rising elbow, powered by the lunge. Next will be the application of the hammer fist using quick blocks and fast strikes. Here I'm going to employ a unique piece of footwork where I yield, draw in, and then re-enter. Because I want to keep my hips and my body forward, but I might need to buy myself some space depending on how aggressive he is. I don't know his level of commitment. Is he gonna stop before he hits me, or is he gonna punch 20 inches through my body? So that's something I wanna prepare for. Ice! Ice! One more time with the hands down. Notice how one arm is pulling down while the other arm is hitting. One more time at regular speed, hands down. Ice! This time I decided to come more to the front, down, which is good because then you have a lot of these centering concepts that are right next to it to follow. This is the hammer strike, set up by an inside circle block. We'll now look at the guiding knee smash, grounding, and one knuckle punch. Here my opponent is doing an uneducated sort of tackle on me, and I'm guiding his head into my knee before I thrust downward, grounding him and finishing with a single knuckle punch to the neck. Now, I'm going to try and influence how he moves, but I don't know how his body will receive the force. It might do nothing, it might overwhelm him. So my best efforts might not create the situation I need. So I roll with it. That's life. Ice! Ice! Slowly. This is the rising knee, followed by the one knuckle punch. Let's take a look at the front kick now. I'm going to use a basic circle block to diffuse the attack and counter as quickly as I can. In this situation, I'm going to be forced to let the attack manifest. So I'm going to lose the opportunity to preemptively kick him. So basically, he'll attack before I get to actually throw my kick. His body will move in different ways. I'd like to kick him in the bladder. If he turns and I lose that, I go under the ribs. I just try to find the most vulnerable part of the body that's easily accessible. Now I'll try it with my hands up using some de-escalation, and I'll try to keep him more in front of me. The hands, very... This is the front kick from Seisan. Next, we have the final approach using circular blocks and spear hands. I'm going to do only one block, and I'll show a couple different applications for the spear hand. The first one in a conventional sense. This is the circle block spear hand. The final application in the kata is the defense against a long object being swung at your lower body. This is the traditional practice application for formal bunkai. this is probably not an application that I would choose to employ in the real world, both from a tactical standpoint and just because most likely one is not going to use a weapon of this kind against you on the street. But we'll still show you anyway. I challenge my students to learn how to do this for the athleticism and for the benefits that come with timing and embracing awkwardness in a situation. And so my partner will use a stick for this. So what's going to happen here, guys, is I'm going to open myself as if inviting my opponent to strike me. From here, he'll try to attack the closest target, or I'll leave. And then from here, I'm going to attack him forward and bring this offline as I attempt to finish. Again, this is not something that I personally consider to be realistic in any way, but it takes real effort to master the movements, the timing, the distancing to pull it off. So these are concepts that if we took the shinai away and asked him to just use his arm and swing, would absolutely work. So slowly, I need to leave this area, and then as he comes down, I want to get him here, off, 1, 2, 3. So this is the jump back from Seisan.